everyone. I'm very glad to be here to give a brief introduction about the Xiarihamu deposit, which is the largest deposit discovered in recent 20 years. I'm Lie-Meng Chen from the Institute of Geochemistry, Chinese Academy of Sciences. And my topic includes four parts. First, the Xiarihamu intrusion is just a moment. The Xiarihamu intrusion is located in the East Kunlun organic belt. This belt is called East Kunlun organic belt, northwest of China, in Qinghai province. In this area, the subduction zone and collision between this belt and the Caidamu block occurs at 330 to 310 million years. And in this area, there's no evidence, no petrological evidence for mant plume in this area. And after Xiarihamu deposits, more and more massive, large massive intrusions has been found in this area, such as in the western part of Xie-Yan and the east part of Sitekengde. This intrusion impressed into a sulfur-poor metamorphic rocks of the Xie-Yan formation. We call it these lavas are Xie-Yan formation, which is composed by schist granulate lies and marbles. And the Xiarihamu deposit is about 2,500 meters long and 200 to 2,300 meters wide. It dips to the southwest. For the country rocks, the hanging wall is then composed by schist and granitic gneiss. For the foot wall is composed by schist, granitic gneiss, and marbles. For the picture, we can see the osmium peroxide and gabbroite are sharp contacted. And this intrusion is mainly composed by Harzburgite, osmium peroxide, websterite, and gabbroite with minor dianite anodolite. And the OPX occurs in all types of rocks. And for the pictures, you can see that most cumulates are relatively fresh with a limited degree of hydrothermal alteration. And the Xiarihamu deposit contains about 150 million tons sulfur ores with about 0.65% of nickel and 0.14% copper and 0.013% cobalt. More than 80% of sulfur ores occurs in the main ore body. Here you can see it's in the 3D image. The four major mineralizations, including disseminated sulfurs, massive sulfurs, and late-texture sulfurs, and the patchy sulfurs. Oh, okay. For this here is a cartoon, but maybe it's a little pen. I can't use it. Okay. And for the late-texture sulfurs, all sulfur minerals are connected. You can see, maybe I can show the. It's just okay. That's okay. You can see all sulfur minerals are connected to that for the late texture sulfurs here. Okay, next. And for this study, main purpose of this study is just use magnesium and strontium leading isotope variations of the mafic ultramafic rocks for this intrusion to decipher the nature of its mant sources and to constrain its petrogenesis and mineralization from the mant source to magma chambers. And I try to expand the potential of magnesium isotope geochemistry in tracing the genesis of mafic and ultramafic intrusions. In order to do that, we collected samples for 5 boreholes in this intrusion from the west part to in the east part. And we separated OPX for magnesium isotope analysis and selected some samples for whole rocks for geochemical and strontium neodymium isotope analysis. In the next section, we combined these 5 borehole samples into 2 columns to show the result. And as you can see, the hardware jet here, the red point, hardware jet is marked by a slightly low magnesium isotope ratios of OPX. Here you can see related to the low momentum here. And also have moderate high strontium isotope ratios and the positive here. You can see positive epsilon neodymium isotopes here is about 0.118. And but for samples for the marginal phases, you can see for the blue samples, those samples are characterized by slightly low magnesium isotope ratios of OPX and with extremely high strontium isotopes, as well as neodymium isotope ratios. For most osmium peroxide, web steroids, gabbronorides, they have very slightly higher magnesium isotope ratios of OPX. You can see it's close to the low momentum and with slightly higher strontium isotopes and lower neodymium isotopes than the hardware jet. And this rocks has limited variations about magnesium isotopes. For this picture, you can see all the almost homogeneous in magnesium isotopes, as well as elution strontium and neodymium isotopes here. It's also except for the samples for the margin zone, you can see here. Okay, but there is a little bit different with the main intrusions. So all these samples actually are enriched in large iron lithophile elements relative to the HFSE. And all these samples show positive anomaly of lead and negative anomaly of Lie-Meng, showing the affirmative to typical or article lavas. All these geochemical features show that the parents are generated from many sources that incorporated with extensive fluid, possibly released from the subducted ocean slabs. This is for this picture, you can see that the magnesium isotope of OPX for the hardware jet here, the red point, that also is the most primitive rocks in our Cardiff samples, which is slightly lower than the low mantle, as you can see. And as we said, the hardware also have a higher elution strontium isotope ratios up to 0.3067 and slightly higher epsilon neodymium isotope ratios. This means that this is best explained by the parent magma was generated from the main sources with light isotope signatures due to the mantle metatism by subduction carbonates. This is because the carbonates is maybe the early end member in the earth with a light magnesium isotope region. Here you can see for the carbonates as well, and another because during the magmatic processes such as a partition, mantle melting, and the mineral crystallization, there's no magnesium isotope fluctuation. For the samples for the hydrogen to web steroid and osmium laurite, gabbronorides, the elution strontium and neodymium isotope signatures are more and more enriched. For the picture you can see, and most of the OPX separate for these rocks have elevated magnesium isotopes closer to the low momentum, indicate that extensive cross contamination in a deep magma chamber. Our quantitative calculation indicates that simulation about 10% to 50%. And also the magnesium isotopes are positively correlated to the magnesium index and the Li-Co content of in all px. You can see this is suggestion during the cross-contamination depths as well we call with silicate mirrors calculation. Because the sulfur ores in this deposit has sulfur isotope higher than the mantle, and the country rocks has low content of sulfur. So it means that contamination depths play a key role in the cooperation for cross sulfur post-sulfur situation and sulfur segregation in the parent magma. And for the major samples, we can see that is with slightly low magnesium isotopes and very high strontium isotope ratios and slightly low ruthenium isotopes. This is best explained by resulted from location simulation of marbles in the Xiarihamu magma chamber instead of other processes to our understanding. So given the above observations and interpretations, we draw genetic models like that. The main sources, first step, the main sources was metabolism by magnesium-rich carbonates with a fluid release for the subduction slabs, and the partial melting of the metamorphism mantle due to the subduction slab break off at an early stage of collision. This process produces large volumes of the parent magma, and the parent magma experienced an extensive degree of the cross-contamination in a deep stage magma chamber. During this process, it caused a sulfur situation and the sulfur segregation. The sulfur-bearing magma impressed into the Xiarihamu magma chamber with a very limited scales of country rocks contamination, and finally forming the Xiarihamu intrusion and the sulfur mineralization. Okay, that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The question is, can we, so as far as I understood, using the magnesium isotopes, we can distinguish between slab-derived carbonate metasomatism and deep mantle carbonate. All right?
Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
Yeah, okay, that's very useful.
Thank you.
How we can distinguish the crustal contamination and the source contamination? What is it possible that the margin phase they get more addition and carbonate from the country rocks, where the main intrusion they don't get too much contamination from the marbles?
I can actually maybe if I can get more details about diagram, you can see if contaminated by the main source, it means this will be have security like this. Should be here. For the country rocks, it's like this should be here, because it's for the country rocks simulation is quite for strontium and ruthenium isotope is much enriched than the main source, I think. So we can use the isotopes can distinguish them. Maybe we can discuss later in details. Okay.
We're going to move on to the last story.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
So the last speaker is Xiaojing Mao from
the Chinese universities, Chinese Academy of Sciences, Beijing, who will be talking about the Karatonki deposit. Which is